everyone, it's Haylini here and I am back with another video. Right now it's a super interesting time of the year where usually lots and lots of students would be applying for or receiving graduate offers for jobs starting ahead of next year. Now I know this year is a little bit crazier, especially with COVID and all the reduced headcount, so the struggle is real. It's much more challenging this year, and my thoughts just go out to all of you. Fingers crossed that everything does turn out well. But I guess aside from COVID, I was in a similar position 2 years ago where I was juggling between two graduate offers and at a crossroads in my life in terms of what direction I should head next. Obviously, I started on the wrong path, as evident from my previous videos in why I left consulting. Now, some part of me feels like this is something that every person has to go through as a part of life. And you know, the average person will change their careers around 5 to 7 times across their whole lifetime. But I thought that maybe based on my experiences, I could share some tips and advice in terms of how to support you best in this time and this decision that you're making. And hopefully with a bit of luck, you'll end up first try in a place where you're happy and you're doing the things that you love. So let's get into the 3 parts of advice in this video today on how to decide what career is right for you. So this first one really goes without saying, but it's all about trying to get yourself as informed as possible, getting as many data points as you can to make a measured decision. So as part of this, I would say cast the net wide and far and try to talk to people across as many different industries as you can to explore what is really out there and what interests you. So when I was starting to properly think about my career last year, I spoke to so many people, and it was definitely talking to a heap of people that made things a lot clearer for me. So what I believe is opinions are only opinions when they are taken in isolation, but when you combine multiple opinions together, that's when they become insight. So for me, I just talk to a ridiculous amount of people. I talk to obviously my family, my friends, I talk to people in my workplace, people in other workplaces, people I really looked up to as startup founders. I talk to counselors, psychologists, I talk to my Uber drivers. I was literally just having these conversations everywhere, trying to get different people's perspectives on life and like what made them happy. Somehow I thought I could apply that and figure out what it was that I wanted to do and find some kind of epiphany of happiness. I think the helpful part of this tip now is how do you actually do this and how do you actually talk to those kinds of people. So when you start thinking about the network of people that you could talk to, I would imagine them as, is it concentric circles? I don't know, like circles within another. And the first kind of circle is your close, like first connections. So people who you have really close contact to, who you really trust their opinions on, people like your family, your close friends, basically just to get that kind of personal opinion, because these are the people that know you best. They probably know your strengths really well as well. And that's where their opinion is going to be super, super helpful. Then if you look at the second layer of this circle, this might be your first connection. So these would be like friends of friends, people that you knew in the past but may have lost touch with over a length of time, people from the companies that you've got offers at or have previously worked at as well. So it's always great to get kind of a professional opinion from them, especially as people who are more embedded within the industries that you might be interested in, just to learn more about what it is that they're doing, what they love about it, and see if that aligns with how you're feeling. And the last circle I would look at here is kind of your further connections, or just people that you could reach out to that you're interested in learning more about. And this could be through cold reach outs through LinkedIn. Heaps and heaps of people are actually super nice. They might not always have the time, but they're always ready to answer a couple of questions that you might have. So I would say it's pretty easy to just look up people from like companies you're interested in but don't have connections to, or people in positions that you look up to. Just shoot them a message, ask for either a Zoom chat, a coffee chat, or if they don't have time, just to answer a couple of questions that you've got. I mean, always be mindful of their time and go into these chats with specific questions, or know what you're going into that conversation looking for. Those things have just been super successful for me. I know that heaps of students also message me for tips or scheduling coffee chats, and I've been getting more and more of them, so I'm not always able to schedule the time with them, but I do try to answer as many questions as I can with the free time that I do have. Generally, some maybe conversation starters for these kinds of chats could be just asking them what a day in their life looks like, what they love about their job, what's challenging about it, what they think are the key skills that are required to be in a position like theirs, how they got to where they are and their story behind that, and generally any other questions you're just interested in knowing about the role or industry. Alright, now tip 2 is to apply a structured framework to your thinking to help make it more objective and break down the problem. So I think I mentioned in my previous video when I was making the decision between consulting and technology, I actually applied a weighted table analysis because this was something that was just super familiar and easy for me to do. There's probably heaps of different frameworks and things out there that could help structure your thinking, but I just wanted to keep it as simple as possible, and this is one of the most basic, easy things that you can do. Keep in mind that this is pretty subjective and it's all just based on feelings. I guess there's not much actual data going into this, but I suppose the outcome or the goal of this is to find something that makes you happy and something that you're thriving in anyway, so I guess that is a little bit of the point, and a lot of this exercise is based on self-evaluation and making sure that you really know yourself and you're digging deep within yourself to understand what it is that you want. And how you run this weighted table analysis play is you basically list out all the factors that you might care about within your career, and then for each of those factors assign them a weighting, and at the end of it, all of these weightings should add up to 100, hopefully. And so now you've prioritized these factors based on what you care most about in your career to what you care least about. And then once you've done that for each of these, for the career or the company or the field that you're thinking of going into, you can basically assign a score from 0 to 1 on how well you think that particular option aligns or fulfills your factor. Now, once you have assigned all of these scores, all you have to do is multiply the weighting by the score that you've assigned. It's going to give you some line item score, and then at the end of that you'll add up all of these scores and you'll get an overall final score that applies some kind of quantitative number to your option. And then based on that, you can then see the comparison between the different options that you have and which scores the highest. I will caveat this, of course, with the fact that it is super subjective in terms of how you're assigning these weightings, how you're assigning these scores. So if you have two options that come pretty close in terms of the scoring, I would probably then go to do a qualitative kind of evaluation and really think between the two, which one is it that you would prefer more. I don't know, it gets a little fuzzy after that. But for me, the factors that I had were, my first one was values and culture fit, my second one was type of work I'm doing, my third one was excitement, which is more a level of personal feeling about it, I guess. You can see that this is totally not scientific. My fourth one was the amount of learning possibility. Fifth one was work-life balance, people and team support, people networking, money, location, and then status and reputation. So yeah, that was my process. You will come up with some kind of number score in the end of it, but I think maybe the most important thing to do is really focus on those top 3 factors and base 80% of your decision on those. It's all the Pareto principle, 80-20 rule, where in this case, maybe the bulk of your decision should really only focus on those few most important things that matter to you. I think the reason why I really push for this is because doing this kind of structured thinking really helps you lay out all the options for you. You get to see all of them holistically, measure on top of them, and make sure you're actually aware and intentional with the decisions that you're making. And now my final tip number 3 is know yourself, know your strengths and weaknesses, I guess. but less so. This is like half of Art of War, know yourself. And it's all about understanding what are your strengths, what are the things you're passionate or interested in, trying to really discover yourself, not maybe like the long term what it is that you want in life, because maybe you don't know that right now, but it is what makes you happy in this moment and what it is that you want to optimize for. So when it came to me exploring myself further, I guess, I actually enjoyed doing a lot of quizzes online, like personality quizzes, strengths quizzes, what career path should I take kind of quiz, all of those kinds of things. I just found it fun because the more and more that you do it, you do start to see patterns developing over a time in terms of what are the things you're passionate in, what are the things you're good at. So give those a go. If you're not the type to enjoy doing quizzes online, then you could always try reading some books. For example, right now, something that's been helpful for me to read is called Ego is the Enemy. It's just on my bedside table, and it's been super helpful in understanding who I want to be, what I can do, and maybe what I should be doing or how to achieve my goals when I remove ego from the equation. I've also got another one that I'm planning to read soon, which is Start With Why by Simon Sinek, and that one is probably a really good starter in terms of not just product management, but also applying it to a life decision kind of situation. You know what, I haven't even read the book, I'm basing this off the title, but it is always helpful to start with why. And then maybe the third thing in this point is also to understand what your strengths are that you can really contribute to an organization with. I know we always talk about improving on our weaknesses, and that's a way for us to grow. But I recently did a course as well called Ignite, and it was super helpful. It really focused on strengths-based development around focusing most of your time on doing the things that you're good at rather than trying to improve on the things that you're not good at and spending a lot of time and effort there. I think there was a quote that really stood out to me in that course, which was that like, when you strive to be an all-rounder, then that's when your edges become rounded out. My whole life, I have always strived to be an all-rounder, but yeah, I think I've come to realize really in the workplace that it's even more important to have an edge or a spark rather than being a jack of all trades. So if you don't have access to those particular courses, then I remember that part of what we did in the workshop was this thing called Strengths Finder. You can pay around $50 or something like that. It's not super expensive. You do this like strengths type quiz, and then they send you this full customized report in terms of what are your top strengths, and it can help to guide you in terms of your thinking on where you're suited best or where you can make most of an impact. Alright, so those were my 3 key tips in understanding how to decide on the career that's right for you. Most of the time we don't get it right on the first try, but hopefully I have shared some things that will help you on your journey in making this decision. So if you've watched this and you've enjoyed it but you want to see more now, I have other recommended videos, for example my tech versus consulting video, but also this how to decide what you want in life, I think it was called. It's by Lavender. I found it really helpful. She has some really good frameworks in there as well in understanding yourself and your strengths and what you can do to help the world. And hopefully you enjoyed this video, found it useful. As usual, like, comment, subscribe, share this video with your friends. Let me know what kind of content you want me to put out next, what kinds of career questions you want answered, or what you want me to share about my own experiences. Or if you want to see fashion and beauty videos, which I still do, see my last Yes Style video. Yeah, let me know in the comments below. And I will see you guys next time. Bye. Smiling every day with Hey Linny.